Hello guys, NautoAis here, and this will be another giving my thoughts on Kit and Krysta's podcast, especially about Amiibo's 20th anniversary. Yeah, so if you're following my channels, I do talk about Amiibo, especially when suddenly my mind was changed when the situation Amiibo, and I'll probably talk about that a little bit later on. The story that Kit and Krysta said about the Amiibo, a lot of the tidbit, the untold story, and the situation why in 2015 a lot of Amiibo fans were getting agitated, it does start to make sense. And to some extent, most people kind of understand why Nintendo kind of did an Amiibo, and I'll give my thoughts about that. So, of course, the elephant in the room, let's talk about the situation in 2015, the Amiibo, the stock problem, the scalpers, the hot item, just in social media, people are just pissed. Even so, the thing is sounding like hotcake because, well, whether you like it or not, in 2015, Amiibos were a hot item. And if it's a hot item, a lot of people want it. You stand in line. It's a common thing. And like, credit to Irate Gamer when I watched one of his video about the Amiibo, that in the 80s, it was the same thing with Kenner's Star Wars to some extent. Those 5-point articulation figure, they were so popular that people were fighting for. And of course, as of right now in 2025, Pokemon card, because I think they released a special bundle where you get all 150 original Pokemon cards, and people at Costco were fighting it like idiots. I'm like, are you serious? I mean, the solution is just have an overstock, but that's a different story. Anyway, so my thoughts about the Amiibo situation. So, Kit and Krysta did told the story of what happened. So first of all, why did Amiibo basically was created? Because it was the time where the Wii U wasn't selling, Nintendo were losing money. So Iwata was trying to find a solution to expand the IP, to have that third pillar, the non-video game IP exposure to the general consumer. And he said, let's do Amiibo. Let's have figurines that people recognize, and then hopefully the general consumer, not the Amiibo fans. So again, you're going to have two target audience, might recognize it, they might buy it, Nintendo exposure. So that's the whole reason with the Amiibo. And of course, in a financial report in May 2014, they showed what it is. So it's sort of a Skylander-ish, but the difference is that the functionality is not going to be like it's for one game, like Skylander, Disney Infinity, or Lego Dimension. It was like you can use them to unlock stuff instead, which kind of makes it. I mean, there are some games to some extent that it kind of have a Amiibo feature. Two games that on the Wii U that they offered was Greatest Amiibo Tap, where you scan an Amiibo and you unlock a trial version of a virtual console game. It'll be randomized. It's kind of stupid, but again, they're just trying to find a way to justify getting an Amiibo. The second one was a sort of a Donkey Kong versus Mario puzzle game where you use your stylus to control the robotic. So there's like an Amiibo version of that, which if you don't have an Amiibo, there is a default robot. But if you have a certain Mario Amiibo, you can use like a Donkey Kong, Wario, Rosalina, Mario, Luigi, etc., etc., etc. So, sort of to some extent that they did have some sort of like specific game for an Amiibo. And during the Wii U era, believe it or not, and probably just a far-fetched rumor up the butt, and that there was a rumor that Nintendo was considering doing an actual Skylander type Amiibo game where you use an Amiibo like a Skylander and you use them in a game. I mean, it could be like a Skylander-ish type of game, but then, of course, that's just copying Skylander. And, you know, Nintendo, just like the achievement, they don't copy someone. It has to be a bit different. That's why the functionality with Amiibo was a bit different than Skylander. And I hate to say it, it does work better, in my opinion, about it. But it is what it is there. That's the sort of the history with the Amiibo, why it was created. They needed to find a way to make money and more exposure to the general audience. The target audience they want were the casual who are out-tuned to Nintendo to say, oh, I know that figure. It's a Mario. Oh, I know that yellow mouse. Pikachu. Oh, green tunic. Link, etc., etc., etc. That's what. But your real audience are the one who likes Nintendo figurines, probably collects them. They don't open them. They're weirdos. I know. I open mine, like I said. They don't even use the functionality, and they just want to collect them all because, just like myself, probably sick in the head. That's your real audience, and they would buy that. They would even buy two. But they did not anticipate a lot of the situation, and here's why. So first of all, the sort of why did I end up changing my mind? Oh, I like this Amiibo. So when I got the Mario Amiibo first, when Super Smash Bros. Wii U came out, I did notice that how come I don't see the Villager, I don't see Wii Fit Trainer, I don't see Mart. And a lot of people were asking the retailer, and they keep just saying that this is what we got, and some of them were gone. We don't know. And later on, we didn't understand like what's going on with the stock at the time. But said, okay, whatever. And then later on, somebody from GameStop, the story was that they got a memo from a GameStop executive that said, oh, by the way, certain amiibo is not going to get restocked. So they even create, that's why people call it the Holy Trinity, which is Mart, Wii Fit Trainer, and Villager. And what happened, what they said was that the belief is the report from Nintendo, and I don't know if it's really from Nintendo, but that's what the belief from GameStop said, that once those particular amiibo gone, they're done, no restock. Like, wait, that doesn't make sense because Hasbro doesn't do that, Mattel doesn't do that. What the heck, why Nintendo would do something like that? And at the time, even in myself, like, I don't understand what Nintendo doing. So there were no restock, there were limited production. And to a point that scalper was coming in. Like, what the heck's going on? In 2015, a lot of people couldn't even get in at launch. There wasn't there's not even like an exact date where to release because, according to Kit and Krysta, they didn't even know how to handle it. So here's the story of what happened that I'm going to do a point what Kit and Krysta said about the amiibo. First of all, yes, they did the amiibo because they needed to make money. Makes sense. So how come it was so hard to get certain amiibo? How come they're restocking certain amiibo? Because Kit Krysta, in the perspective of PR, they're trying to market the amiibo, again, to the general consumer. The sales team, their job is, amiibo gotta sell. When it sells, great. We make money, great. The end. So technically what happened is it's something new to Nintendo. Makes sense because they're not a toy company anymore. That was in 1889. They used to be a toy company. And I'm going to assume the people who work in that timeline, that time era, are retired or, they pass away. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to touch that, but you get my idea. If you want to know about the history of Nintendo, go to a Nintendo museum. They do have some sort of history. They do display a lot of those Nintendo toys. But it is what it is. Yes, there used to be a Nintendo toy company. Not anymore. So they're trying to get back to the quote-unquote toy business with amiibo. What happened is that Nintendo didn't realize about allocation space. So apparently each retailer have a certain allocated space, and it kind of makes sense now because when I used to complain to Nintendo, hey, you can't really be dickish about this. You can't just say, oh, these amiibo sell, so you're going to do more, while the lesser one, you got to treat all this IP equally. And the response a lot of people get, whether you're a journalist or not, is, well, they have limited space and we have to just pay for what space they offer us, etc., etc., etc. And it is true that according to them, Target, Walmart, Toys R Us at the time, etc., 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 they do have a certain space to display the amiibo. And the problem also sometimes is how much do the retailer want to get those amiibo to put them in their stock. And for the business side, the only one in amiibo that's going to guarantee sell. So if you're going to put an amiibo that nobody give a crap, so say Captain Falcon or Villager, they're probably not going to put a lot of those because nobody give a shit about it. And it's just going to be taking up space and collecting dust to some extent. And in a different video, I'm going to be talking about the Animal Crossing amiibo because, like Kit and Krysta said, it was a point where, okay, you went too far. You're trying to do Animal Crossing amiibo, and especially to some of these amiibo cards. The amiibo fans or the casual don't give a shit about it, and it is what it is. So gist of it is, when they released the amiibo for the Animal Crossing series, nobody gave a shit to a point that you can buy them in the bargain bin. It is what it is. In the game Amiibo Festival Animal Crossing, they wanted an amiibo game functionality with an Animal Crossing on the Wii U, and I can tell you the game is shit. I mean, it's really shit. It's not fun. There's no online feature. Nobody's going to play that. And I have no friends that likes to play that game, if you know what I mean. And I did do a FOMO, but that's a different story there. So anyway, back to the actual amiibo story. The reason why it's so hard to get certain amiibo, because the sales team, they're just being told, hey, just keep sending amiibo and they move on. Because apparently that's what Kit said, that what's happening for them, their main objective was, okay, amiibo's done, they sell, let's move on to the next one. Because the waves were within 2 to 3 months, and like I said in my second channel, I've been talking about that experience and how sometimes it's irritating because it's perspective of Nintendo in the business side. Okay, just keep rolling the wheel, turn and burn. Okay, the stock is gone, the wave is gone, whatever. We're not going to restock. New wave, gotta sell. We just gotta sell them. Money, to a point that Kit and Krysta, at the time they were PR, the market team, sort of having a butting head with the sales team because they're saying, hey, what's your solution for restocking them? What do you do? And the sales team said, hey, you know what? The amiibo are selling. That's all that matters. We can't really do anything about the stocks. It's not really our department. Hey, it's selling. We're making money. Let's move on. Like, that's all the sales team are. And then the market is like, oh my gosh. Because like I said, in the case with the Animal Crossing amiibo, they even asked him, hey, can you do some sort of marketing with them? And Krysta said, no, I don't want to. They're crap. Because that's what happened. Again, those are, I think, when the Animal Crossing amiibo came out, they're like, yeah, I think we went too far. Because the Splatoon one sort of sell, it was popular, but like a lot of this amiibo, they were hard to get to some extent because of the restock. Because to some extent, according to Kit, that because they were only focusing on what sells and doesn't. If an amiibo doesn't sell that much, it's not popular, we're not going to do a restock. But of course, in 2016 and beyond, they did fix that. So, and I'll be stopping here. So next time, more story about the situation with amiibo in 2015. Stay tuned.